You may recall that I did a review of this palette, which is the Gallo Signature 24 set pan. I will leave a link up here for that review. And after that video went out, the lovely people over there contacted me saying that my Notturno didn't look right. So they were going to send me a free new one as a replacement. And I thought, that's so kind of them. I would definitely do a video re-swatching them. But I thought it would make a weird video if it was just like a swatch on one color. So I thought I'd actually make swatches, you know, these mini cards of all the colors. And I'm so glad I did this, because I have to apologize both to the Gallo and to you guys. I completely, utterly undersold how good this paint is. And I'm so glad we're doing this right now. So we're going to take a look at all the colors, including the replacement Notturno. And please allow me to show you how good these paints are. You might be thinking that because I got this palette for free that it's making me biased, but don't forget that I don't get paid to say my opinion. So I get the free product, but if it's bad, I'll tell you if it's bad, and if it's good, then I'm going to tell you it's really good. And it's really hard to impress me, as you can imagine, because I've tested a lot of professional quality paint. But I am incredibly impressed with this set. And I want you to keep watching, especially if cauliflowering is an issue, because there's so many colors that normally cauliflower but does not, which is amazing. So let's get on with it. And we also have colors that we couldn't tell that they were granulating. And I just assumed that they were non-granulating on the last swatch because they are non-granulating colors. Colors that normally are transparent non-granulating colors, but we have ones that granulate in here. It's super exciting. So we are gonna start taking a look right now. So I have swatched out all 24 colors for you, and let's start taking a look with the Lemon Yellow Permanent. Lemon Yellow Permanent is a lovely, cool yellow color, great for that split primary colors that we need in a palette, or I feel we need in a palette. No cauliflowering whatsoever, although yellow ones, I'm going to rush through the yellow ones because they're a little bit harder to tell the characteristics from these tests just because they're so pale. It is a semi-opaque color, semi-staining, and as I said, glazing. It's a little bit hard to tell in yellow. It is a mid-staining tint, and it puts up very well with all these very strong high tinting colors. Then we have Azure Yellow Gold, but we have a granulating Azure Yellow Gold. You can see some of the granulations. I hope the camera can pick this up. It is very lightly granulating. I'm sure it's pretty granulating, but just because it's yellow and it's quite pale, you just have this very subtle, very lovely texture to it. You can't see it under the studio lights that I've got on, but in daylight I can see a slight cauliflowering on here, but it's only a very slight one. It is somewhere between semi-opaque and semi-transparent. Quite hard to tell which is which between those two. Semi-staining. The staining looks more under normal lights rather than these filming lights, especially with yellow. It is, again, hard to tell about the glazing. It is a mid-staining tint, and I just like to say I love the colors, especially the three colors all together. Makes a lovely, lovely palette. Then we have the Arancione, which is a nice, slightly muted, burnt orangey color. It does suffer from a little bit of cauliflowering, so you might want to be careful with the amount of water used. Don't forget, when I test these colors, I put down way more water than you should, just so that I can taste these paints at its worst, so I can report on how well it will do in normal painting. But I love this burnt orangey color. It is a semi-transparent color. It is staining, and it's an excellent glazer. I can see the layer below very clearly. It's a really, really good glazer. It is high tinting strength, and you get nice muted colors. That green is gorgeous. Then we have the Hokkaido orange, and it's made with PY216, and it's a heavily granulating orange, which is nice because we don't normally get that many granulating orange color. It is excellent at the gradation, no cauliflowering whatsoever. I would say it's a semi-opaque color, semi-staining, and for glazing I would say that it lifts a little bit too easily and you can see the stripes happening, so you want to be quick and only come in once, don't go over the area that's wet. In terms of color mixes, I love this color because it gives this really nicely textured warm yellow color with the yellow. You get like a jewel tone color with the phthalo blue. I think if you like granulating colors, this is a really good option for you. Then we have Medici Red, which is PR168, and this is a granulating red. Again, granulating reds are quite rare when you look at the reds because most of them are nicely transparent colors. So this makes a really nice change and it's amazing at the gradation. I can see clearly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stages, which we don't get that often. No cauliflowering thanks to that color being granulating, and you can really see the granulation here. Let's give you a close-up. Great granulation. It is a semi-opaque color. I see plenty of deposits on the black band. Semi-staining to staining. It's an excellent glazer. It's nice and even top layer and no lifting taking place, and you can see the bottom layer very clearly. The granulation doesn't show up quite as much as the Hokkaido orange in these colors. It's a much finer granulation than the Hokkaido orange, but it is a high tinting strength color. Then we have beautiful Azularin Crimson hue, and again this is a granulating color. It's gorgeous. It does have 3 pigments, PR177, PR144, PV19, and I think it makes this gorgeous, almost like a wine red color that does not cauliflower regardless of how much water you throw at it. You get nice 5 clear stages showing you that you're going to get great control when you do the gradation. But the granulation around here are stunning. And if you want to take a look at close-up detailed scans of these, all my test sheets on all the videos I create on this channel, you can head on over to patreon.com/Oto Kano and you can find all the high-res scans over there. It's a transparent color. I'm just in love with how great this Azularin Crimson is. It's not as pinky an Azularin Crimson as you'd expect. It is definitely more of a cooler red Azularin Crimson. It's heavily staining and it's an excellent glazer thanks to being transparent and also very staining. It's a very high tinting strength, so it will work really well on any palette that has lots of phthalos and quins, which normal Azularin Crimsons tend to be slightly lower on the tinting strength, so this will be a nice one for a palette like my one. Then we have another beautiful red. This is a ruby red, and again you get this heavy beautiful granulation, and you also get a lot of, I wasn't sure whether to call this cauliflowering or something else. It doesn't look like normal cauliflowering. It's very veiny and feathery. It's a unique effect and you don't normally get that in, let's say, commercial paints. Heavy granulation, and there is an undertone of slight darker color coming through on some of the granulation. It's a very complex, very beautiful, very moody color. It is made with PR264. Transparent color, very heavily staining, and therefore pretty good at the glazing. I do see a little bit of lifting, but as long as you're quick and you don't go over the wet area that you've already made, I think you would have fun time glazing with that, which is amazing because granulation colors don't tend to make good glazing. It is a high tinting strength color, and I love this quiet but textural blue that it creates. Then we have the quinacridone Magenta, and it very surprisingly is a slightly granulating color. I'm not sure if you can see the granulation happening around here, which is very unique. It is PR122, and for cream magenta, which it usually is terrible for cauliflowering, especially under my test conditions, it does not cauliflower. And this is what I meant by if you struggle with your water control and get a lot of cauliflower, or if you just want to flat out avoid that as much as possible, these paints are absolutely amazing. We're going to have to see so many colors that normally cauliflower under these test conditions that doesn't at all in this set. It is transparent, staining, and a good glazer, although I see a little bit of lifting, so I would go quite fast, but you can see the bottom layer clearly because it's nice and transparent. It's high tinting strength. You see some of that granulation happening on the edges here, and it makes a beautiful purple. Then we have the quinacridone violet, and again, I think this is a slightly granulating color, which is amazing because we don't normally get that with quinacridone violet. There is again this slight cauliflowering-esque thing happening here that I'm not quite sure if it's cauliflowering or something else, but it's very subtle. With quin violet, I'm used to having really strong cauliflowering happening. So again, great for avoiding cauliflower. It's transparent, staining, and a very good glazer. It's very high in tinting strength, and the colors it makes is beautiful. This is like a nice muted brown, but with some warmth of that violet coming through. This, I love this. It's gorgeous. It's got that strong pink of the queen rose, but you also see the heavy granulation happening here. And again, here you really see the granulation happening with the phthalo blue. Then we have the Tyrion Purple, and this is mixture of PV16 and PV15. It is a heavy, super heavy granulating color, and no problem with the cauliflowering at all whatsoever. Transparent, semi-staining, but surprisingly a good glazer. All of these colors keep on surprising me because they break the rules of what commercial colors tend to do. Of if it's a granulating color, then it's usually not good at glazing, whereas these really are. I love the neutralized color that comes out of mixing it with yellow. I can see a lot of rocks and sea, land area, that being very useful. It creates that texture all by itself for you because it's so heavily granulating. It is a mid-tinting strength color. Then we have the Nocturnal, and this is stunning, and I'm just going to show you what the Gallo people meant by it didn't look right, the original. So this was the original color sample that I made for that review video, which I've linked already. And they said this doesn't look right, and you're right, this is a completely different color. I'm so glad they sent a different batch for me, because like this totally undersold how beautiful this one is, and they know which batch it is, and they're going to make sure that there's no problem with that batch. They're going to check that, you know, was it just my one or the whole batch. They are so on top of quality control. So this is a much more dramatic, and I would say this is one of the most standout colors that we have in this set. It might be reminiscent of Imperial Purple and things like that, but this is much more moody, much darker, much more muted, and I think it really suits the word nocturnal. The mass tone is this beautiful deep purple, and then you get the blue granulation happening from the ultramarine blue that's in it. It's just such an amazing, dramatic, beautiful color. It is a transparent color, semi-staining. It struggles a little bit on the glazing. You do see the layer clearly, but it lifted quite easily, so just be fast with it and don't go over the area again until it's dry. Huge texture happening here with the yellow. The granulation is more subtle with the pink and the blue, just because the granulation is a blue color. It is a mid-tint strength, and it does suffer from cauliflower, but that's because I throw a lot of water on this. Then we have the Endanterome Blue, which is the PV60 that we come to expect. It does suffer from cauliflowering, so just be careful with your water, but it is lightly granulating. I'm hoping that the camera can pick up the granulation, but if not, check out the high-res scan over on my Patreon. It is transparent, staining, and very good at glazing. That is a good clear layer of glaze. It is high in tinting strength, and the granulation will come through on all of it, but it doesn't create a dual color, certainly with these three colors that we've seen so far. It's a bit of a chameleon color. Then we have the Periwinkle, which I think is a really unique color to have. It's like a lighter bluey, violety, granulating, opaque color, which is a lot in one color. It's a mixture of 4 colors: PB15:1, PW6, PB29, and PR122. It starts off very opaque, and then the granulation comes through here on stage 2, 3, and 4. And look how clear the staging is. You can see all 5 stages, and that means it's going to give you a really good control so that the gradation is going to happen the way you want it rather than the way the paint decides to want it. It does have some textural ridging happening here, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just really interesting to get that ridging. It is semi-opaque, which I was surprised because when you put it down, it feels a lot like a completely opaque color. Now, because of the PW6 in there, that white in there, watercolors will dry lighter normally than the color you put down. However, if you put a white in there, the color is actually going to dry darker than what you put down there. So that is just something to look out for, that this color, because of the white, will dry darker than what you actually put down. It is semi-staining, and for a very opaque color, you still see a clear line. So if you want to do lots of glazing, then I never recommend you use granulating colors. You can with this one because it's pretty good. It is a mid-tint strength, and you see that heavy granulation, particularly when you mix it with the Aurelian. I think that is a gorgeous green. Then we have the Yamin Blue. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I have made a video comparing this Yamin Blue with Quartz Yamin Blue and Cremas Yamin Blue, but as you can see, it's beautiful, semi-transparent, staining, and a good glazer. Then we have the Azuro, which hits a spot for phthalo blue, green shade, or yellow shade, but it has a little bit of that ultramarine blue in it, so it's that cyan color, but it granulates, which I think is super interesting and way more interesting than having yet another transparent, non-granulating color in that spot. It is staining and transparent and very good at glazing. All these colors glaze so much better than I expected. It is high in tinting strength, and you definitely see that granulation happening in the green the most. Then we have Aquamarine, which hits the spot of that phthalo turquoise color, which is what you get when you mix phthalo blue with phthalo green. But again, they've thrown that ultramarine blue into the mix, and I think this is absolutely stunning and beautiful, and I can't think of any more words to describe how much I love this. We don't get granulating turquoises often, and it's like looking up at the surface of a tropical sea, say from under the water while you're diving. It creates a scene all on its own, and I think it's absolutely stunning. It does suffer from a little bit of cauliflowering, so do look out for that. It's a transparent color, staining, and therefore it's a good glazer. It's a high tinting strength, and you get the most amount of granulation showing when you mix it with the Queen Rose. Then we have a Harbor Blue, which again I think is beautiful. It's like a Cascade Green from Daniel Smith, but darker. And it's very moody, it's heavily granulating, it's dual tone, it's amazing. Again, it's very atmospheric, so if you like doing a lot of atmospheric painting, this set is great because there's just so many colors that will set the background for you all by itself. It's good at the gradation and no cauliflowering. It's a transparent color, it is staining, and it's a good glazer. And it's a high tinting strength, and look at that green and the purple it creates. It's so much clearer purple than I would imagine this color and this color to make. It's a beautiful color. Then we have Olive Green Deep. Again, it's a dual color, it's a granulating color. The main color is the ultramarine blue, and you really see that granulation happening. Huge amount of texture happening in the matte stone as well. It is great at the gradation. You see 5 clear stages and no cauliflowering to worry about. It is transparent, non-staining, and because it's non-staining, it does lift up a little bit easier than other colors, so that is something to watch out for. great at mixing with other colors. It's a mid-tint strength, but it will add so much texture and mute down your color a little bit. I really like those swatches. Then we have forest green, and I'm just going to show you the close-up. Just pay attention here. This, I really hope the camera can zoom in enough. If not, do check out that high-res scan over on my Patreon. But it gives this really interesting line just after the mass tone, which I've never seen in any watercolor that I've tested. It's almost like crystalline, kind of. Oh, it's not ridging. I've just never seen that in any paints before. So I just wanted to show you a close-up of that. It is a gorgeous deep green color with a lot of granulation. It's amazing at the glazing, even though the first pigment that's in there is phthalo green. So amazing job again. It is transparent, semi-staining, little bit easy lifting on the glazing. So be quick about it if you're going to glaze with this color. Not surprisingly, it's very high in tinting strengths. Then we have deep sea green, which is mixture of genuine viridian and ultramarine blue. So you get slightly, just a little bit fresher looking, a little bit bluer, a little bit more intense than a normal traditional viridian, and you don't get any cauliflower to worry about. It is transparent, semi-staining, and not great at the glazing, but anything that's like PG18 and ultramarine blue, they tend to struggle anyway. It's a mid-tint strength, and you see the granulation the most coming through when you mix it with a Queen Rose. Moving on to fig green, I had somebody ask what is that amazing green in my how to pick a palette video. It's this color. It is a lovely fresh green. We don't tend to get this kind of green. They tend to be more yellowy or more greeny. This is like a slightly muted, very yellowy green color. It's amazing at not cauliflowering. It's a semi-opaque color, non-staining. So it does get a little bit streaky because that non-staining means it lifts up pretty easily. So you want to be fast if you want to glaze with it. But can I just say, I love these colors. I love the colors it mixes. It's so beautiful. It's low tint. So if you want to see this color really live in the color mixture, you are going to get this soft, beautiful, but because of that yellow coming through, it's a fresh summer, early summer, late spring kind of color. It's beautiful. Then we have the quinacridone gold. It is stripy in the mass tone, but that is true for all quinacridone golds. And I got some really interesting texture here. Can you see happening here? I debated as to whether this is granulating or not. I can't tell. It's quite hard to tell because is it just unevenness of texture or is it granulating? Have a look at that high-res scan and do let me know. For Queen Gold, amazingly, there's no cauliflowering, and that is hard to do. So if you like Queen Golds but you don't want the cauliflower, go for this color. It is transparent, staining, and therefore very good at glazing. It's very high in tinting strength, as I would expect from a Queen Gold. So you get nice strong mixes, and you again get this sort of granulating kind of texture happening here, but it's quite hard to tell what it is. Then we have the transparent red oxide, and again for a transparent red oxide, it is a granulating color, which we don't normally get. They're normally transparent, non-granulating colors. So again, if you like a lot of granulation, this set is amazing. But also, if you just want to try one or two of these colors, you can get them on Jackson's. They now sell these colors over on Jackson's, as well as their own website, which I will leave links to both of them. Also, I do have a discount code for when you shop at the Gallo website. This doesn't work on Jackson's, but it will work on their website. I will leave a link down below to what the code is so that you can use it. It's not an affiliate code, it's just to give you guys a discount. Transparent red oxides tend to struggle from cauliflowering. This one doesn't again. It is semi-transparent, semi-staining, and a little bit not grey at the glazing. But I love the colors this creates. Trans Red Oxide is a great mother color to begin with anyway, but I just, this palette, I just want to mix it with more colors with Trans Red Oxide of A Gallo, because I love these colors. It's very soft. It's not the kind of colors I paint with, but it's the kind of colors I love looking at. And then finally we have the Chromatic brown, which is very rare in commercial brands, and that's the fun of handmade watercolor brands. Yes, they're way more expensive, however you can get really unique colors like the Chromatic brown and the Yamin blue that bigger companies don't do. So this is a nice burnt umber shade, but it is heavily granulating. In the matte stone you get this black granulation and it follows through to stage 2. It doesn't suffer from any color flaring thanks to that granulation. It is transparent, semi-staining, and so you gotta be quick with your glazing, but because it's transparent you will see the layer below it clearly. It's low in tinting strength, so you get these slightly muted pastel colors when you mix with them. So that is it for these A Gallo lovely paints. I'm so glad I did this swatching. It was something extra that I did it about, but really glad because I actually got to know how amazing these paints are, which I did not understand when I made the palette review video. So apologies again to A Gallo for underselling your paints, and apologies to you the viewers for me underrepresenting these paints. They're totally magical, and especially from orange onwards there's so many unique, look at that color and look at that color and look at that. I can just keep going. Look at that color and look at that color. They are so unique, very unusual. They're not what you expect, and in a good way. I would say there's no color in here that's boring. All of them are going to surprise you in a good way, and even if you have loads of watercolor palettes like this already, I think this can bring up so many new colors and so much fun experience to your collection that I think is worth it. As I said, check out their Jacksons and their own website if you want to try any of these paints. Discount code for their own website is in the description down below. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I really hope I did a better job of showing off these paints to you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to A Gallo again for sending me these lovely paints. I am astonished at what you have achieved with these paints. It's hard to impress me, but I consider myself hugely impressed. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!